Amazon Prime's Hunters begins with an innocent barbecue at the U.S. Undersecretary of State Biff Simpson's beautiful Maryland lake house. One of the guests at the party is Helen, and she recognizes Biff as the butcher of Arlov. Helen is a Jew, and the butcher is a Nazi. After she begs the people at the party to call the police, Biff removes the silenced pistol from under his barbecue and kills all of the individuals at the party, including his own family. Biff calls Travis Leich to clean up the mess. Travis is a lunatic jack of all trades for the leader of the underground Nazi movement named the Colonel. Travis's duties include intimidating members of the U.S. government, murder, and a host of other nefarious activities. He performs these duties with a cheery demeanor and often gives out tidbits of trivia.
People think flamingos are pink. It's a common misconception.
We are introduced to Jonah Heidelbaum and his grandmother Ruth. Jonah is a nerdy kid who works at a comic book store and sells the occasional pot. His life is turned upside down when his grandmother is killed in the middle of the night. After the funeral, at Jonah's home, he meets Meyer Offerman. Meyer reveals that he and Ruth knew each other because they were in the camps together during World War II. Around this time, a Florida woman dies mysteriously in her shower. FBI agent Millie Morris provides support to the local police. The woman who was murdered used to be a NASA chemist named Gretel. Millie finds out that Gretel was gassed with Cyclone B, which she helped invent originally. She also finds a picture of a young Gretel with Hitler. Back in New York, Jonah gets arrested for possession of drugs and Meyer bails him out. Meyer invites Jonah back to his home, and Jonah finds a secret room Meyer calls the Ark, which contains an overwhelming amount of material on Nazis, from survivor interviews and other documentation. It also includes information on the man that killed Ruth. Jonah takes this information and runs out of the house to take revenge. Jonah tracks down the man that killed his grandmother named Heinz Richter. Heinz owns a toy store, and when approached by Jonah, he senses something is off and he tasers Jonah. When Jonah wakes up, Heinz tortures him until someone knocks on the door. Jonah is able to escape the restraints and struggles with Heinz, but he needs some assistance, and Meyer stabs him in the neck. Meyer was the one knocking on the door because he followed Jonah. Meyer once again brings Jonah back to his home to meet his group of Nazi hunters, and they include Lonny, Roxy, Joe, Sister Harriet, as well as Mindy and Murray Markowitz. Jonah wants to join the group, but they are all resistant to him joining except for Meyer. The group is eventually swayed to let Jonah join because he's a natural code breaker. Jonah is able to decipher a name from a letter obtained from Hans Richter's toy store. The name is Karl Hostetter. Karl is a Nazi known as the Pied Piper of Buchenwald. The hunters pay Karl, who is now a successful music producer, a visit at his home. They tie him up and search his property. While there, they discover he's been broadcasting a creepy lullaby over the radio. The message being sent has Morse code within it. Every Nazi receiving the signal has a small music box in their home playing on 4/4 time at the same time the broadcast is playing at 3/4 time. The two, when played together, are a polymeter. Every time there is an overlap between the two musical instruments, a geographic coordinate is being broadcast. After breaking the code, the hunters realize that in 2 weeks' time, something is going to happen at the broadcasted coordinates, but they don't yet know what. Karl escapes his constraints and grabs Jonah, but Joe shoots him. Joe also accidentally shoots the broadcasting machine, rendering it inoperable. After learning Nazi members have been murdered, the colonel orders Travis to find out who is doing this to them. Travis holds the officer in charge of Gretel's case in Florida hostage. He tortures the family until the officer gives up Millie. Millie begins looking into anyone who has recently died under unusual circumstances and was a refugee following World War II. Millie is pointed to the direction of Heinz Richter. Travis follows Millie to Heinz's toy store, and he finds Jonah's jacket there. Travis learns that Jonah's work schedule after visiting his house, and he goes to see him at work. Jonah isn't there, and instead he finds Jonah's friend Arthur, who's covering for him. Arthur lies to protect Jonah, and then he stabs Travis and tries to run out of the store, but Travis shoots him twice in the back. Millie, by this point, is 100% sure that someone is killing Nazis who are living in the United States. She contacts Danny Rowe, a journalist who previously tried to expose Operation Paperclip, but had his life turned upside down after doing so. Operation Paperclip was a real-life United States intelligence program that brought over 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians back to the United States following the end of World War II.
Listen, that's just wrong.
Up until this point in the series, the Nazis have been trying to get the U.S. to lift a trade embargo with South America. We learn the reason for this is Schindler Corp., a Nazi-backed company, has developed a poison at their research facility in Paraguay. They want to transport this poison back to the United States, and this poison is very deadly. It kills whoever ingests it within 6 weeks. After the hunters killed Heinz and Carl, they realized that both of them had matching keys on them. They traced these keys back to the Zurich International World Bank located in New York City and the founder Friedrich Hauser. The hunters use a fake bank robbery to get into the secret room they believe holds a safety deposit box, which the keys go to. While in the room, Jonah finds a secret entrance into a bunker underneath the bank, which houses a host of stolen Jewish items from World War II. Meyer confronts Friedrich Hauser with this information, and Friedrich gives him a name, Oscar Hauptmann, aka the Ghost. He was supposed to have died 30 years ago, but it looks like he's still alive. After this conversation, Friedrich shoots himself in the head. The Nazis are aware that Meyer was the last appointment on Friedrich's schedule, right before he shot himself, and this leads them to follow him. Tilda Sawyer and Victor Dillman are the next targets on the hunters list, because they believe one of them might know where the Ghost is. Tilda was a propaganda artist and an assistant to Joseph Goebbels. Victor Dillman was a doctor and an assistant to the Ghost. Meyer, Roxy, and Lonny go to Tilda's home and restrain her. They ask her questions, and they inform her that because she was a propagandist, they will feed her literal feces if she lies to them or if she doesn't tell them what they want to know.
Ew.
After an extended period of eating feces, Tilda speaks in German to Meyer, saying, "Great pretender, clever tongue." He quickly shoots her in the head before she can finish the thought. Lonny and Roxy are shocked by this because they didn't confirm her identity or get any information from her. Meyer's motivations for this is unclear, but it makes you look at him in a different light because it seems like he was trying to hide something by shooting Tilda. When the group is leaving Tilda's house, Meyer's car explodes, and they are fired upon by Travis while he is singing show tunes. The group is able to escape, but the driver is killed. Back in Alabama, Sister Harriet, Jonah, and Joe track down Victor Dillman. They abduct him at a fireworks display and bring him back to his home. Victor doesn't give them any new information about the Ghost because he doesn't know where he is. He does tell them about other Nazis who are at the fireworks festival. They were all invited to come there by the United States under Operation Paperclip. One of the people he says is present is Moritz Ehrlich. Sister Harriet immediately leaves, and she tracks down Moritz and brings him to Murray and Mindy's home and puts him in the basement. She does this because Moritz was the commandant in charge of the new arrivals at Auschwitz the day Murray and Mindy arrived with their son Aaron. Moritz shot Aaron in the head, killing him because Murray wouldn't let go of him. Biff is able to get the president to agree to lift the trade embargo after leveraging his family in a shameless way.
When you experience a life-changing tragedy like the whopper thrown my way, well, you do some reevaluating about what's important.
Jonah is able to find out that Meyer is his grandfather after he asks Meyer why he doesn't wear a high necklace like everyone else. Meyer tells him that he gave his necklace to a woman he loved, and he's never worn one since. Jonah remembers back to when Ruth told him that the high necklace she had belonged to Jonah's grandfather. Meyer tells Jonah a story about a man named the Wolf. The Wolf's real name was Wilhelm Zux, and he was a Nazi doctor at the camp Meyer and Ruth were at. He was drawn to Ruth, but he realized she loved Meyer. He physically and psychologically tortured Meyer, and he made him do terrible things, like kill 11 innocent Jews in order to save Ruth's life. After convincing President Carter to sign the bill, Biff has a problem, because he had to make a political enemy out of Juanita Krebs to do so. She uses a reporter contact of hers to look into writing a story about Biff's contacts with Schindler Corp, as well as his reasons for wanting to remove the trade embargo. Katrina Lowe at Schindler Corp finds out about this and contacts the colonel. The colonel sends an assassin to Biff's home and kills his mother-in-law, Dottie. He fights off the assassin and he kills him, but he realizes now that he has to get out of the country. Joe visits an old army buddy of his and he gets the ghost's real name, Tim Randall. The hunters go to the ghost's house and they find him lying in a hospital bed. He's had plastic surgery, but Joe verifies it's him. They realize after visiting him, the Nazis are going to release a biological weapon on the United States. The hunters go to the coordinates that they got from the lullaby to stop the Nazis, all of them but Meyer. Millie arrested Meyer after searching his home, and he is now in a holding cell. Jonah, Lonny, and Murray go to the Grand Central Station, and they see Travis there. They follow him to a subway car. He leaves the car before the doors close, and Lonny follows him out. Murray and Jonah realize that he left a bomb on the train. Jonah gets the passengers to a different subway car, and Murray tries to disarm the bomb, but he's unsuccessful. Lonny is stabbed by Travis after following him, and Travis gets away. After the bomb in the subway goes off, another bomb goes off across town at a power plant, and it knocks out power in the entire city. This is a distraction so the Nazis can get their poisonous chemical off the docks and to their U.S. Schindler Corp headquarters. Schindler Corp now has 500 gallons of the toxic chemical, and they estimate that it will kill 12 million people. The Nazis are planning on targeting inner-city individuals by putting the chemical in corn syrup. The hunters go to see Simon Wiesenthal, the world's most famous Nazi hunter. He doesn't like what the hunters are doing, but he agrees to give them the information on Werner von Braun if they agree to never contact him again. Braun is supposed to be dead, but maybe he isn't. Mindy kills Morris with a single shot to the head, showing him mercy after a vision from Murray asked her to. The hunters find Werner alive in a cabin in the woods. The colonel told Werner that once she ruled the world, he could get all the funding he wanted for space exploration. Jonah tortures his Werner to the point it bothers Joe, and Joe shoots him to put him out of his misery. Werner informs them that Schindler Corp is going to poison people using the chemical in corn syrup. The hunters go to Schindler Corp to stop them from transporting the deadly chemical. In the aftermath, Jonah sees Travis running, and he tracks him down, but he is unable to kill him after Millie convinces him not to. The colonel attempts to leave after the explosion, and she shoots at Meyer, and it causes him to crash the car off a bridge. Harriet is able to save Meyer from the water. Meyer is disappointed with Jonah because he wasn't able to kill Travis. He tells him he isn't able to do what needs to be done. Tracks down the man he thinks is the wolf, a man named Dr. Mann, and he kidnaps him and delivers him to Meyer. Meyer is delighted to see Mann, and he kills him before asking him any question. Jonah is confused by this, because Ruth wrote, Meyer told her that if he caught the wolf, he'd say a prayer for him before killing him. Meyer did not do this. This causes Jonah to realize that, in fact, the man standing before that he thought was Meyer is really Wilhelm Zooks, the wolf.
Didn't see that coming.
The wolf tells Jonah that he killed Meyer one night 30 years ago in order to avoid capture. Jonah shoots and then stabs the wolf, killing him. Jonah is now the leader of the hunters, and the hunters are going to be focusing their hunt outside of the country in Europe. The idea of hunting outside of the country was suggested by Harriet after she received a suspicious phone call. Is she a double agent? Joe is kidnapped by two men in a car, and he is taken to South America. When he gets out of the car, he sees the colonel is still alive. They take him to an outside dinner table, and a man sits down that looks a lot like Adolf Hitler from the bottom half of his face, which is all we are shown.